You're not going to believe what just happened on Monday Night Raw. Dominik Mysterio, the man who betrayed his own father, the man who turned his back on his family, the man who has spent the last year and a half being one of the most hated heels in all of professional wrestling, just did something that nobody saw coming. And I'm not talking about another cheap shot or another cowardly escape from the ring. No, no, no. What Dominik did this week shocked the entire WWE Universe to its core, and honestly, even if you're not a fan of Dirty DOM, you have to admit that what went down was absolutely insane. Because on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, in front of thousands of screaming fans and millions watching around the world, Dominik Mysterio got down on one knee and proposed to Liv Morgan. Yes, you heard that right. A proposal. In the middle of the ring. On live television. And the fallout from this moment is going to change everything moving forward. But before we get into the jaw-dropping details of how this all went down, we need to talk about the journey that brought us to this point. Because this isn't just some random storyline that WWE threw together overnight. This is the culmination of months of storytelling, passion, betrayal, jealousy, and one of the most compelling on-screen relationships in recent WWE history. So buckle up, because we're about to take you through every twist and turn of this incredible saga, and trust me, by the time we're done, you're going to understand why this proposal wasn't just a wrestling angle, it was a moment that will be remembered for years to come. Let's rewind the clock. Let's go back to where this whole thing started, because to truly appreciate what happened on Raw, you need to understand the complete story of Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan. And honestly, it's a story that has more drama than most Hollywood movies. It all began when Dominik was still entangled with Rhea Ripley, the woman who had essentially transformed him from Rey Mysterio's son into Dirty DOM, the cocky, arrogant member of the Judgment Day. Rhea and Dominik were inseparable. They were the power couple of the faction, and their on-screen chemistry was undeniable. Rhea was the dominant force, the muscle, the intimidation factor, and Dominik was her loyal partner who would do anything she asked. But then, everything changed when Rhea suffered a legitimate shoulder injury that forced her to relinquish the Women's World Championship. She had to step away from the ring, and that absence created a vacuum. The Judgment Day needed someone to fill that void, and that's when Liv Morgan started circling like a shark sensing blood in the water. Liv had been on the outside looking in for a while, searching for her next big opportunity, her next championship run, her next moment in the spotlight. And she saw Rhea's injury as her golden ticket. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Liv didn't just want Rhea's championship. She wanted everything that Rhea had. She wanted the power, the respect, the fear factor, and yes, she wanted Dominik too. Liv made it crystal clear that she was going to take Rhea's life, piece by piece, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop her. The WWE Universe watched in fascination as Liv began her calculated campaign to seduce Dominik away from Rhea. And at first, Dominik resisted. He played the loyal boyfriend role, insisting that he would never betray Rhea, that he was waiting for her to return, that his heart belonged to mommy and mommy alone. But Liv is nothing if not persistent. Week after week, she got closer to Dominik. She was there when Rhea wasn't. She whispered in his ear, she supported him during matches, she celebrated his victories, and slowly but surely, she began to break down his defenses. The tension was palpable. Fans were on the edge of their seats wondering if Dominik would actually give in to temptation. And then came the moment that changed everything, the moment when Liv finally got what she wanted. In one of the most shocking turns in recent memory, Dominik kissed Liv Morgan, betraying Rhea Ripley in the most public and humiliating way possible. The WWE Universe exploded. Social media went absolutely nuclear. Some fans were outraged, claiming that Dominik had once again proven himself to be a snake who couldn't be trusted. Others were fascinated by the drama, eating up every second of this twisted love triangle. And Rhea Ripley? Well, when she found out what happened, the look on her face said it all. The woman who had been betrayed by her partner, the woman who was already dealing with a devastating injury, now had to watch the man she trusted move on with her rival. The pain was real, the anger was real, and the desire for revenge became the driving force behind everything Rhea did moving forward. Meanwhile, Dominik and Liv became official. They were the new power couple, and they weren't shy about flaunting their relationship in everyone's face. They held hands on the ramp, they kissed after victories, they cut promos together where they mocked Rhea and celebrated their new partnership. Dominik seemed happier than ever, freed from what he portrayed as Rhea's controlling grip, and Liv had accomplished her mission. She had taken everything from Rhea Ripley, and she was loving every second of it. But here's the thing about wrestling, and really about life in general, nothing stays perfect forever. As the weeks went on, cracks started to appear in Dominik and Liv's relationship. There were moments of jealousy, moments where Dominik seemed to question whether he'd made the right choice, moments where the specter of Rhea Ripley still loomed large over everything they did. Rhea returned to action with a vengeance, literally, and she made it her mission to make both Dominik and Liv pay for what they did to her. The matches were brutal, the promos were cutting, and the emotional stakes kept getting higher and higher. Through all of this, though, Dominik and Liv insisted that their love was real. They claimed that what they had was genuine, that it wasn't just a storyline or a convenient alliance, but actual feelings that had developed between them. And whether you believed them or not, you couldn't deny that their on-screen chemistry was electric. They sold the relationship better than most couples in WWE history, and that's what made Monday Night Raw's proposal so impactful. So let's fast forward to this week. The anticipation had been building for days. There were rumors swirling online that something big was going to happen involving Dominik and Liv, but nobody knew exactly what. Some people thought maybe there would be a big match announcement. Others speculated that perhaps the Judgment Day was going to make a major statement. But a proposal? That was not on anyone's bingo card. And that's exactly why it worked so perfectly. The show started like any normal episode of Raw. Matches happened, promos were cut, storylines advanced. But then, about halfway through the night, Dominik Mysterio's music hit. The boos from the crowd were deafening, because let's be honest, Dominik has perfected the art of being hated by the WWE Universe. He's not just a heel, he's a heat magnet who knows exactly how to get under people's skin. He walked out onto the stage with that signature cocky smirk on his face, soaking in the hatred like it was fueling him. But something was different this time. He was dressed a little sharper than usual. There was a nervous energy about him that even the most casual viewer could pick up on. He made his way down to the ring, taking his time, playing to the crowd, getting them even more riled up. When he finally grabbed a microphone, the arena was a wall of noise, a mix of boos, jeers, and the occasional chant mocking his family name. Dominik stood in the center of the ring and waited for the noise to die down just enough so he could be heard. And then he started talking. He talked about his journey over the past year and a half. He talked about how he'd been told his entire life that he had to live up to the Mysterio name, that he had to be the hero, the good guy, the one who carried on his father's legacy. But he said that was never who he truly was. He said that joining the Judgment Day was the best decision he ever made because it allowed him to be himself, to be free from the expectations and the pressure. The crowd booed louder, but Dominik kept going. He talked about Rhea Ripley and how their relationship had been important to him, but how ultimately, it wasn't meant to be. He said that Rhea tried to control him, tried to mold him into what she wanted rather than accepting him for who he was. And then his tone changed. It softened. He said that when Rhea got injured and had to step away, he was lost. He didn't know what to do, who to turn to, or how to navigate the Judgment Day without her. That's when he mentioned Liv Morgan. He said that Liv came into his life at exactly the right moment. She was there when he needed someone. She believed in him when nobody else did. She saw him not as Rey Mysterio's son or as Rhea Ripley's boyfriend, but as Dominik Mysterio, his own person with his own dreams and his own potential. The crowd's reaction was mixed now. Some people were still booing, but others were getting quieter, sensing that something significant was about to happen. Dominik continued, his voice cracking slightly with emotion that seemed genuine, whether it was scripted or not. He said that over the past several months, Liv had become more than just a partner or an ally. She had become his best friend, his confidant, his everything. He said that she made him want to be better, not for anyone else, but for her. And then he paused. The arena went almost silent, save for a few scattered reactions from fans who were starting to realize where this was going. Dominik looked up at the stage and called out Liv Morgan's name. The seconds felt like hours as everyone waited to see if she would appear. And then, her music hit. Liv Morgan walked out onto the stage, and she looked absolutely stunning. She was clearly dressed for a special occasion, and the confusion on her face seemed real. She made her way down to the ring, looking at Dominik with a mixture of curiosity and concern, clearly not sure what was happening. When Liv entered the ring, Dominik took her hands in his. The cameras zoomed in close, capturing every expression, every emotion, every subtle movement. Dominik told Liv that she had changed his life in ways he never thought possible. He said that when he was with her, he felt complete. He said that he didn't want to spend another day without knowing that she would be by his side forever. And then, in a moment that will be replayed and discussed for weeks, months, maybe even years to come, Dominik Mysterio got down on one knee. The crowd erupted. Some people were screaming with excitement, others were booing because they couldn't stand Dominik, and others were just in complete shock at what they were witnessing. Dominik reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring. It sparkled under the arena lights, and you could see Liv Morgan's hand go to her mouth in what appeared to be genuine surprise. Whether this was a complete surprise to her as a performer or if she knew it was coming and was just selling it perfectly, the effect was the same. It looked and felt real. Dominik, still on one knee, asked Liv Morgan to marry him. He didn't use fancy words or give a long speech. He just looked up at her and asked the question that everyone in the arena and everyone watching at home had never expected to hear. The moment hung in the air, suspended in time, as the entire WWE Universe held its collective breath waiting for Liv's answer. Liv looked down at Dominik, tears streaming down her face. She looked out at the crowd, then back at Dominik, and then she nodded. She said yes. She actually said yes. Dominik stood up, slipped the ring onto her finger, and pulled her into a kiss as the crowd's reaction reached a fever pitch. Confetti started falling from the rafters, music played, and the two of them celebrated in the ring like they had just won the most important match of their lives. But here's where things get even more interesting. Because in wrestling, nothing is ever quite as simple as it seems. As Dominik and Liv were celebrating, the camera cut to backstage, where we saw Rhea Ripley watching a monitor. The look on her face was pure rage mixed with something else, maybe hurt, maybe disbelief, maybe a combination of everything. She didn't say a word, but her expression said everything. This story is far from over. We also saw reactions from other members of the Judgment Day. Finn Balor looked conflicted, like he wasn't sure whether to be happy for Dominik or concerned about what this meant for the group's dynamic. Damian Priest seemed indifferent, more focused on his own agenda. And JD McDonough had a calculating look in his eyes, like he was already thinking about how to use this development to his advantage. The proposal wasn't just a romantic moment, it was a tactical move that could shift the entire landscape of Monday Night Raw. Think about the implications here. If Dominik and Liv really are getting married in the storyline, what does that mean for the Judgment Day? What does it mean for Liv's championship pursuits? What does it mean for the inevitable confrontation with Rhea Ripley that's been building for months? This one moment has opened up so many storytelling possibilities that WWE can explore over the coming weeks and months. And let's talk about the fan reaction, because that's been absolutely wild. Social media exploded immediately after the proposal. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform was flooded with clips, reactions, memes, and hot takes. Some fans are all in on the Dominik and Liv romance, calling it one of the best storylines WWE has done in years. They love the drama, the passion, the unpredictability of it all. These fans are genuinely invested in seeing where this relationship goes and whether Dominik and Liv can actually make it work despite all the obstacles in their way. Other fans are more skeptical. They see this as Dominik once again making a terrible decision that's going to blow up in his face. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the betrayal that they're convinced is coming. Some think Liv is playing Dominik, using him to further her own career and her own goals. Others think Dominik is going to betray Liv eventually, just like he's betrayed everyone else in his life. And honestly, both of those scenarios are entirely plausible given the track record of everyone involved. Then there are the fans who are just entertained by the chaos of it all. They don't necessarily care whether the relationship is real or fake, whether it ends in happiness or disaster. They just appreciate good storytelling, and they recognize that WWE is giving them something to talk about, something to debate, something to get emotionally invested in. And isn't that the whole point of professional wrestling? To make us feel something, to make us care about what happens next? But let's dig deeper into what this proposal represents from a character development standpoint. For Dominik Mysterio, this is a huge moment in his evolution as a performer and as a character. When he first joined the Judgment Day, he was seen as the weak link, the kid who was only there because of Rhea Ripley. He was mocked, he was doubted, and he had to work incredibly hard to prove that he belonged. Over time, he did prove himself. He won matches, he cut better promos, he developed his own identity separate from his father's legacy. The relationship with Rhea helped him grow, but it also kept him in her shadow to some extent. He was always seen as Rhea's guy, her partner, her protege. But with Liv Morgan, Dominik has had the opportunity to step into more of a leadership role. He's making his own decisions, charting his own path, and now, by proposing to Liv, he's making the ultimate statement of commitment and independence. He's saying that he's not just along for the ride anymore, he's taking control of his own destiny. For Liv Morgan, this proposal is equally significant. She's been chasing championship gold and relevance for years. She's had some incredible moments, some championship reigns, but she's also had periods where she felt lost in the shuffle. The whole campaign to take everything from Rhea Ripley gave Liv a clear purpose and a direction. It made her feel dangerous and unpredictable. And now, with Dominik proposing to her, she's achieved something that goes beyond championships and accolades. She's become the centerpiece of one of the most talked about storylines in WWE. But here's the question that everyone is asking: is Liv really in love with Dominik, or is this all part of her master plan? Did she genuinely develop feelings for him over the course of their time together, or is she still just trying to hurt Rhea Ripley in the most devastating way possible? The beauty of WWE storytelling is that we don't have to know the answer right now. The ambiguity is what keeps us watching, what keeps us guessing, what keeps us coming back for more. And we absolutely have to talk about Rhea Ripley in all of this, because she is the wild card that could change everything. Rhea is not the type of person to just sit back and accept what happened. She's not going to let Dominik and Liv ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after. She's going to come for them with everything she has, and when she does, it's going to be brutal. The matches, the confrontations, the promos, everything involving these three is going to be must-see television moving forward. Imagine the possibilities. We could see Rhea crash the wedding if WWE decides to actually stage a wedding ceremony. We could see her cost Liv a championship match or a major opportunity. We could see her try to get back into Dominik's head, make him question his decision, make him wonder if he made a terrible mistake. The psychological warfare alone is going to be off the charts, and that's not even considering the physical battles that are inevitably coming. There's also the broader impact on the Judgment Day to consider. This faction has been one of the most dominant and successful groups in recent WWE history. They've held championships, they've won major matches, and they've been a constant presence at the top of the card. But internal drama has always been a threat to their cohesion. Finn Balor's leadership has been questioned at times. Damian Priest has had his own individual pursuits. And now, with Dominik getting engaged to Liv, there's another potential distraction, another source of conflict that could tear the group apart from the inside. Will the Judgment Day support Dominik's decision and welcome Liv as an official member of the faction? Or will they see this as a liability, a weakness that their enemies can exploit? Will there be jealousy among the members, especially from those who might feel like Dominik is getting special treatment or too much attention? These are all questions that WWE can explore in the coming weeks, and each answer could lead to dramatically different storylines. Let's also talk about the technical execution of the proposal segment, because from a production standpoint, WWE absolutely nailed it. The timing was perfect. The camera work captured every emotional beat. The crowd reactions added to the atmosphere. The backstage shots of other wrestlers reacting gave us multiple perspectives on the same event. And the music, the confetti, all the little touches combined to create a moment that felt big and important, which is exactly what you want for something L.